Good afternoon, everybody. This is Fred Bergeron coming to you live from Ormond Beach, Florida. And I got a very special guest with me today. She's a friend of mine. She's a fellow business owner, and she's also a Daytona Beach Chamber member. So let's give it up for Carmen Ruiz.
Hi
Hi, Carmen.
guys.
What's up?
Hey, how are you?
Good. Hey, last time I saw you, I think your hair was a little bit longer. What's up with that?
It was this come 2020, I was like 2020 is going to be my year. And
Mhm.
I just thought I'd start off with something different and chopped all my hair off. Left a little bit up the front just to
I see that. Yeah, I see that. Okay.
just to give it a little edge, and then 2020's turned into what it's turned into. And
Hmm. Well, we're halfway there, and it's half over. So I guess we're kind of in the middle there. So
exactly.
yeah. So tell us about. I mean, I know you as a business owner, but tell us more about Carmen the person.
Oh, I am 37, almost 38 here in a week. Um, I am the daughter of three of my oh my gosh, let's start over again. I am one of three children. I'm a twin sister to Lorena, my older sister Adlin. My mom is from Spain. My dad is from Puerto Rico. My dad served in the military here, so I am a military brat. He was airborne, 82nd Airborne out of Fort Bragg, North Carolina. So that's where I grew up. And he retired after 21 years. I moved to Miami. And then at 22, decided, hey, you know what? I don't really want to be in Miami anymore. Kind of looking for a different flavored, something a little bit more what I was used to as a child growing up. So I ended up in a small town called Apopka, Florida, about an hour and 20 minutes from here. And I started working for this wonderful company, Fast Signs of Apopka, Altamont, in 2005. And about 3 years ago, we had the opportunity to purchase our Fast Signs here in Daytona Beach. And outside of work, you'll see me doing a lot of community stuff because that's where my heart is. Um, if I'm not working or doing something in the community, I'm on the water or at the beach. That's me. If I'm not with friends, I'm with family. My family is all relatively far away, with some in Miami and Tampa and Puerto Rico. So Carmen is family, family,
Mhm.
family, family. That's really
Okay.
um,
Speaking of family and being far away, how has seeing your family that you moved away from affected like you visiting them personally with the whole pandemic going on?
well, usually I try and visit my family about every other month. I try and figure out a way of getting back home. My family came here for New Year's, and then I went to Puerto Rico on the Mujeres on a Mission trip with Healthy Souls International, got to see my dad, and came back and saw my family. And then the pandemic hit. And right now we are looking at possibly being together at the end of July. I have two nieces that are immune compromised that have Down syndrome. So that keeps us without being able to go and visit them. And then my mom and my sister. My mom is a grocery. She works for Winn-Dixie. She's a receivings manager, so she's got a lot of contact with the public. So we're just trying to minimize. And then with me being a business owner here and having to run my business, it's an essential business. It's really kept us apart, which is very trying. It's been a challenge because it's my life, my everything I do surrounds around family. So I'm hoping
Yeah.
at the end of this month we'll all be together, but if not,
Mhm.
we'll do what's right to keep everybody
Mhm.
safe.
Yeah. Well, I've got a funny family story to tell you. You're talking about traveling. Right after my grandmother died, my dad's mom, he found out he had a sister that had been adopted. And I remember visiting him one day, and the strange lady opens the door and she shakes my hand and she goes, I'm your dad's long lost sister. And the first thing I did, Carmen, I'm looking around going, okay, where are the cameras at? I literally thought it was a joke. And then I saw the resemblance. I'm like, Oh my gosh! So she told us the backstory on how she got adopted, and now she's pretty much. I have two aunts, my dad's two sisters, and I found out I've got two cousins, her children, and I was going to go see them this spring, and that's right when the pandemic hit. I'm like, no. I said we'll have to do it next year. So we still keep in touch via Facebook, but I have yet to meet them in person.
Oh
So
wow.
we're looking forward to it, but we're also like, no, be safe because they're also in New York and
Hmm.
Massachusetts.
Yeah.
So those were the states that were getting hit the hardest. So I was like, well, let's just keep in touch via Facebook or Zoom. So that's kind of my family story there. And speaking of pandemic, how has that affected you and your business, and what type of changes have you had to make to adapt to the coronavirus?
We early on, because we are a part of a franchise family, which I'm so very blessed to be a part of. They were immediately talking about, hey, really look at what your business looks like internally, right? Cash is king, cash is king. Be ready for shutdowns. We really didn't realize we were going to be an essential business right away, but relatively quick, they told us, hey, we are an essential business. We print signs for hospitals and directional and informational. So we're going to be needed. So we prepared our businesses for that. We did close our doors when the governor shut us down. We worked remote, and we had one person working at our center to be able to fulfill any orders that came in. Of course, being in a town that is highly events, hotels, just like a lot of our other fellow business owners, we really felt the hit, especially that first month. Second
Mhm,
month was a little bit better. But we are now, our doors are open. So
mhm.
we are on reduced hours still, 9:30 to 4:30. We have one person that is no longer on staff, but we're hoping to bring them on. And we've just really put safety measures in place to protect our staff and protect our clients. So that means wearing a mask when you come into our Fast Signs location. That means after every person leaves, we clean all of the counters to make sure that the next person that comes in can operate in a safe work environment. We take our temperatures in the morning. We ask our staff to self-check before they even come into work. We communicate constantly about the people that we're around, just because we want to do what's right. We want to do what's right for our community. We never want someone to say, hey, we walked into Fast Signs and they, want to be good community partners, but they're walking around without masks. Someone coughed. We really want to make sure that everyone's safe when they walk into our center. We have, shields in place and social distancing signage up just as a friendly reminder that we want to have good business practices under the CDC guidelines.
Well, let me ask you this: when this pandemic finally goes away, which it will, it's just a matter of time. Do
Mhm.
you think that businesses such as yourself will just continue as a routine to follow these guidelines, or do you think maybe some of them may shy away once this all goes away? What's your opinion on that?
Honestly, I prior to this used to really think that in fact my staff would often say you're super OCD, and because I always ask people or anyone on staff, keep our center tour ready, right? When a customer comes in, we want to give them the best experience. When you walk into Disney, everything is visually appealing, right? Everything's clean, staff looks great, and they have a great positive attitude. So through this pandemic, what I realized is there were some things that we were cutting corners. So it's really allowed us to be a better company. I think we should always provide a safe and clean environment for staff. This pandemic is going to go away, but there's still the flu. There's still other situations, other illnesses that we really should be cleaning after ourselves. We should be just, I think these are new business practices. Um, I'm a big I love sanitary stuff. So hopefully this is the new norm. I know, like I said, like for us, we didn't clean the counter after every customer, but I think it does help provide just a safe guard for everyone. There's the common flu can kill you, right? So the common flu can, if you take it home to someone that's immune compromised, can cause great damage. So why not? It doesn't cost us anymore to do it. So I think from here on out, I think we're just going to look at life a little different. I think every single time we go through something, especially something global, right? This is the first time that I can think of anything of this magnitude, but even go back to like 9/11, right? We looked at things different. So I think when we go through something like this, the best that we can do is learn from it and kind of move forward and take some of the things that were really good for us and made us better and continue to do them afterwards.
Yeah, and I really think this is a wake up call for for most of us, and with me in particular, adapting to this what they call the new norm, wearing the mask. I even was wearing gloves at a few places, and I was at a place that I do business with, and just out of habit, even though I had gloves on, I went to go shake his hand, and he went and he just kind of did the elbow bump thing, and I was like, and then people were like, it's still the whole handshake. So, and I didn't get offended. It took me just a few seconds. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I was like, you're so right. I said, it's just a habit that even with gloves on, I just naturally stick my hand out there. And so I was like, no, you're good. I said, hey, I got to get used to this. I said, it's not you, it's me. I said, I have to get, and I've gotten better, and then people are like saying, well, you shouldn't wear gloves. So it's one of those do I or don't I. So I've got them if I need them. If people take offense, I'll just take the gloves off. So, you know, I'm trying to get used to it. I try to wear a mask everywhere I go, but I'm still not 100% used to it. I'm still trying to adapt because I'm still in those old habits of shaking hands or hugging someone I haven't seen in a while, and then they have to do that. I'm like, I'm sorry. Just I have to get used to it. So, and people are very cool about it. They're like, no, you can't hug me. They're like, oh, okay, cool. So, it's just something that we're all getting used to. And I know you said you made a mission trip earlier. Tell us about that mission trip.
Wow. Last year, December, well, yeah, beginning of December, a group of girlfriends and I decided, hey, you know what? We want to go to Puerto Rico. My dad is retired in Puerto Rico, and we bought some tickets, and we just thought, hey, you know what? Let's take a couple days and let's just really. It was the weekend right after Valentine's, and all of us are single, so we thought, you know what? Let's go to Puerto Rico. Let's enjoy. Let's not stay here. And about a week after we purchased our tickets, Puerto Rico started getting these earthquakes. Puerto Rico already gets earthquakes. I mean, that's just common, but they were higher magnitude. It was causing some devastation in some of the southern region of the island. And I had met Maria Davila from Healthy Souls International at a business after hours at the Daytona Regional Chamber of Commerce. And jokingly, she was still working on the Bahamas. And, she was like, I'm so tired. And I said to her, you know what? You should come to Puerto Rico, take a week off or take a weekend off and come and hang out with us. You can stay at my dad's house and let's just relax. And she said, yes, okay, absolutely. And of course, the I want to say we were about 500 earthquakes in, and she made a mention of, I'm probably going to be going to Puerto Rico to do some relief work. And I said, well, why don't we do some relief work? Like, why don't we do it with the group of girls that are going? And then we reached out to a couple of other business owners in the area, and she said, yes, absolutely, let's do it. So we ended up taking a group to Puerto Rico. What was supposed to be a vacation really turned into a relief project. And it was amazing. It was probably one of the most humbling experiences that I've had in my entire life. And to be able to go and do something at that magnitude, take items to help people in that devastation, go talk to people, just give them hope and inspire them. And it was so nice to do it and do it at home. So not just go on a missions trip, but go to a missions trip in the country that you love. And I was so blessed that because my dad is in Puerto Rico and we're staying at his house, that my dad also got to do that missions trip with us. So I could cross a million, checklists off of that mission, but it was very gratifying. It was something that I would definitely do again. And thank you to Maria Davila, because you really could not have done it without her. And what she does is amazing. What Healthy Souls International does is just unreal. She's got an amazing story. I know she's going to be speaking at Elevate alongside you and some other friends, right? So
Yeah, and here's the funny part about that, Carmen, is because Maria and I and Adrian Barker are all in Daytona leadership together.
yeah,
And we just were in just a little circle of friendship one time, and one of them knew I spoke at Elevate.
yes.
And Maria was behind me. She goes, "Well, I'm thinking about it. I don't know." She goes, and I was like, "Go for it." I said, "That's all I got." And next thing I know, her and Adrian got it. And then I was one of the latter ones, and I got accepted. And then Adrian goes, "I'm so proud of you." So, and that was my goal. I was like, man, it would be so cool if more than one person from Daytona leadership could speak at Elevate. So yeah, the three of us are going to speak at. Oh, I think that's going to be awesome.
I'm so excited. I'm not going, no spoilers, but I love Adrian and I love Maria, and I've heard your story, and I just think, I'm so excited. I really, I am a storyteller. I tell people all the time, we should be sharing our stories. We should be sharing our lows and our highs, and we should be impacting people with how we live our lives. And they are just good examples of that. And I believe you are also. So I'm so excited about Elevate this year. I think it's going to be life-changing.
Yeah,
So
because I remember the conversation. She didn't know what to talk about. I said, "Are you passionate about something?" She goes, "Well, I'm passionate about several things." It's like, "Well, just pick something and talk about it." I mean, I didn't see her audition, but apparently that's what she did. So when I found out I got accepted too, I was like, yes, like all three of us get to speak. A matter of fact, I just saw her on the first at the Ocean Center. We were bagging up the PPE bags.
oh yeah.
And she saw me from a distance, and we all had our masks on. And I was telling another friend of mine I ran into who was in BNI. I said, it's weird. I said, I guess we're so used to seeing each other without masks that when we put them on, we just recognize that person for a long period of time, that it doesn't matter if the mask is on, we still recognize them. So it was one of those things that we were just kind of reminiscing. She's like, "Oh, I can't wait till we start Daytona leadership class again." She's like, "I'm so
Oh,
glad to see you." We took a selfie together. She goes, "I got to send this to Adrian." I'm like, "Well, I'll send it to Carmen too." So if you didn't get it, make sure you ask her to send it to you.
I
She did
sure will.
a
I
selfie
sure
of us
will.
with our mask on. So other than your mission trip, what other things do you do outside of your business? Since you seem to be very passionate about helping people, not just as part of your business, but outside too. So what other things do you do outside of your business to help people?
You know, I, I'm involved with several nonprofits and several chambers, but I would say that the one thing that I'm the most passionate about and that people will hear me speak about the most is domestic violence. So I'm so blessed that this year I was voted on to the board at the Beacon Center here in Daytona Beach. But prior to being here, I have a partner in a speaker series called The Silent Cry, A Cry Not Heard, Miss Monique Morris, and we have had the opportunity to talk on stage about our experiences and just some of the things that we're dealing with as a culture still when we talk about violence against women and violence against women in the home. So I would say it's the one that I'm the most passionate about.
Okay, and are you, if you don't mind me asking, are
Mhm.
you a victim of domestic violence? Is that why you're so passionate about that, or what got you involved in that?
Yeah, I was married for 8 years to someone that I knew for a very long period of time. I met him in high school. I was very much devoted to my husband and to my marriage, but he had some struggles, and one of them was anger, and a lot of it was something that was directed to me. So in our 8 years of marriage, about 6 years of those we were dealing with domestic violence in the home. We had about a 2-year break in between where things seemed to be looking better. And it really kept me in the marriage because I kept thinking, okay, that light is at the end of the tunnel. And really what happened was that with time, it got worse. and he learned to control me a little bit more on the back end of things, at the back end of the marriage, where I really kind of became silent. When I first got married, when we moved into our home, 2 weeks later, my husband beat me for the first time. 2 months later, we someone in my family realized what was happening and addressed it. And he started he started counseling, and we got back together. And that's what happens a lot of times, is that, you'll see this back and forth, and people don't quite understand. And a lot of it, admittedly so, was I didn't know what my worth was. I really had not dated much prior to getting married. So the love bombing, and it was like a really bad day, and then 2 weeks of really good really good times or vacations or whatever. So I was on this roller coaster that I couldn't get out of, and I had this stereotype in my mind of what domestic violence looked like, and I was ashamed to say I was a victim of domestic violence. So I would go to church with my husband every Sunday morning and afternoon. We'd go to Bible study, and we'd go to church on Wednesday, and we would go do all these community events together, and we would go be with family. And in between, I was extremely, I was dying inside. I no longer was the person that you see standing in front of you today. It's taken me about 3 years to get here, to the point where I feel like I'm the Carmen I was meant to be. But it's passionate to me, because I feel like I want women to look at me and go like, okay, it can happen to a successful woman. It can happen to middle class. It can happen. And it's not just happening to me. It can happen to a Christian that's sitting in church, right? So a lot of times, those are the women that you will not hear ask for help. So that's where my passion really comes from.
And that's why I think you and I are good friends, because, I was homeless, and it's almost the same situation. I had 2 college degrees. I was in the military. I had a good high paying job, and poof, just lo and behold, on Valentine's Day, I got fired, and it was just hard for me to keep my house or my home, and I lost it. So that's why I think you and I became pretty good friends. And I need to introduce you to a friend of mine named Chrissy Markoff, who you just found out, I guess is one of your friends. She's a member of the Chamber of Commerce, and she has a nonprofit organization called Our Children First.
Yeah.
So it's about children who have been abused, but it's still related. So I've been on a mission, and she loves me to death for this, because I've hooked her up with a lot of people where I try to find people with related stories to talk to her and help her with her organization. So I will give you her info to do that. She's a lovely lady, and she's in it for a good cause as well.
Awesome.
And to segue also into the domestic violence, I saw your interview with Johnny McGill a while back, and I know he touched up a little bit about it on Facebook. And that was very touching. I got to tell you, it brought tears to my eyes, and I'm crying a little bit now. It tore at my heartstrings when I heard that, even though he wasn't related to this person, but there was a connection there and a relationship. Gosh, I mean, I literally, Carmen, I had to go find a box of tissue during that interview. I was like, oh my gosh, because, like us, Johnny was passionate about something. He was passionate about photography. He was passionate about mentoring somebody, and then, this sudden thing, broke up their relationship, and, he was able to talk about it on her behalf. And, I mean, I've known Johnny for a while, but when he said that story, I was like, man, that's another side of Johnny that I didn't know existed.
Right.
That just really opened my eyes. I'm like, wow. I said, there's a lot of people out there in the community that need to tell their story, need to tell a story, that maybe we need to do more of these, because I only knew Johnny from a business perspective, and from 1 Million Cups and from the chamber, and that was really the only level I knew Johnny at. And then he said that story. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like, Johnny's the man. When he
Here's the thing is, we live in a world, we're so blessed today with the technology that we have available to us, that we can share And, in a matter of seconds, we can touch hundreds of people in a way that we've never been able to do before, right? So I believe that right now, there's a lot of wasted energy complaining about things. And I challenge people, anyone who's watching, is to sit back, think about your story, think about what your challenges are, think about the things that make you the person that you are, jot it down, and ask someone to let you share your story, because you could change someone's life. You could save someone's life. When I was asked to speak the first time about what happened in my home, I was terrified. I had no idea how I was going to get through it. And the month and a half prior, as we were advertising this event where we were going to speak publicly, I had all these women that were with me at church, women that were with me in the community, coming up to me and telling me, let me tell you my story. Let me tell you what I've been through. Let me tell you. And I just thought, to me, I was looking at statistics and I was hearing stories. And what was common about everything that I was hearing was, I never told anyone. I never asked for help. I waited until he had had enough and asked me for a divorce, which is what happened to me. I would have still been in my marriage, because to me, a good Christian girl stays in her marriage and fights for her marriage. And I had all these other women saying, it wasn't until he said, you weren't good enough and disposed of me, until I gained my life back. And that's a shame. When I think of my nieces, and when I have 6 nieces, 6 beautiful young women that God has placed in my life. And when they think of me, the last thing I want them to think about was this victim that was being abused at home. What I want them to know is that no matter what I went through, I found my voice. I told my story, and they have a voice, and they have the opportunity today, with everything that's going on, to be more than what I was in my situation. And hopefully they will never accept what happened to me in their home. And we need to be more of that for the young people that are growing up and watching us, right? Someone's going to hear your story, and hopefully they will see, sometimes we look at homelessness in such a way with all these stereotypes and stigmas. And there are people making a difference in our community, impacting our lives, that don't have a place to go at home. And when you hear their stories, you go, I didn't know. But you may not have realized that you said something about homelessness in front of that person that was just getting ready to say, I need help. So I really want to encourage people to share. I can't wait to hear you guys at Elevate. I can't wait to hear. I saw a clip of yours on YouTube after Adrian interviewed you, but I am so excited to get to see it in person and get to hear Adrian's story. Amazing story about business. Maria's story, how she got to where she's at, aligns a lot to your story. I mean, I'm flabbergasted when I meet the people that I've met in the last 3 years that I've had the opportunity to listen to their stories. It's amazing.
And you talk about making a difference too. I remember right after my Elevate speech, I had people coming up to me saying, man, that was a good speech. And some of my friends from 1 Million Cups are going, man, I just ran into this homeless guy at the 7-Eleven. And he said, and I remembered your story. And he goes, I actually helped him out. And I was going, wow. I was like, my speech had that much of an impact. And that was really the point I was trying to make, was having people see homeless from a different perspective and not have the stereotype. And I felt that it pretty good. Yeah, because I actually had a standing ovation, but then it gets more emotional when people come up to you like they did with you, Carmen, and they're like, man, I saw your Elevate speech and you made a difference, or I saw this homeless person and I was able to help him out. So when I hear stuff like that, and I'm sure you're the same way, that makes me cry even more, because that really sinks in that we've made a difference. When some stranger just comes up to you and says, hey, your speech made a difference, or it was very impactful, or I can relate. I used to be homeless, but I never told my story like you did, or I was abused by my ex-husband, but I was afraid to come out and say something about it. So I think these broadcasts that we do, Elevate, things like that, just really get the word out there that we're not just we're not just business owners. You know, we care about the community. We care about each other. So, I'm gonna piggyback off of you, Carmen, and just say, get the word out there. Let Carmen interview you. Let me interview you. Let Adrian interview you, or we'll even do a four-way on a broadcast if need be. So just reach out to us. Myself, Carmen, Adrian. We all have the same broadcast system. You know, reach out to us. And I just wanted to wrap up. If Carmen, did you want to say any final last words to our audience out there?
You know, this is definitely a challenging time. I know for everyone. I know, when we start talking, like the things that we're talking about, we're really talking about humanity, and it's why it touches our hearts, right? It's why when you talk about changing someone's life, I want to shed a tear, and I talk about my marriage, and you obviously get emotional, but it's because we're empathetic to the things that we've gone through, and it touches our hearts. So I just, again, I challenge people to share their story, but I also challenge people in these times to kind of give a step back and think about the perspectives of all of the things that are happening in the world, right? If we stopped for just a second and try to put ourselves in somebody else's shoes and look at the problems that are happening in the world from their perspective, I truly believe that we would be a much better society. So be kind, be empathetic, be compassionate. And if it doesn't serve a purpose that ends with love, don't say it, don't type it, don't text it. Give a step back and self-reflect. I think that we can be a much better community if we did so.
All right, yeah, very, very heartfelt words there, Carmen. Well, I'm going to wish you a very safe and happy New Year. Stay safe out there. Have fun in this rainy weather, and hopefully it'll clear up over the weekend.
Absolutely. I really appreciate you giving me some time today, and happy 4th of July. Yeah. Halfway through the year, I really do believe that this is the new year.
Yeah, I hear you, Carmen. Have a great one. Bye-bye. Bye.